Hello everyone and welcome back to World Builder. In this episode we're going to be finishing off every house in the kingdom. Every single one. It's finally happening. I said at one point or another that I was going to do every house in a single time lapse, and here we are. For the first house that we're building here, I wanted to try and do it in a sort of different style, doing like pillars in front to like frame the house instead of doing what I've been doing, where everything's in line. And it does look different, but it's not necessarily better from what I've seen, and the way at least I tried to make it. So I don't think, I don't really like it that much, and I didn't do it for any of the other houses built, but it is there as an attempt to try and style a house somewhat slightly differently. I also tried something else with this house, in that I made a little market stall thing off the side. As you can see there, that little yellow thing coming off of it that I hadn't done with any other house. I tried to do it with some, but I was like, no, I have a marketplace, I don't need to. But then I thought, oh, well, maybe I should. So I tried new things out, and I think the end result looks pretty good. I did a little barrier made out of sandstone for the bottom, just to kind of keep it protected, and the detailing for the house is the same as with any other, which is very helpful. Yeah. So I think the detailing, it looks good. I like it. I will, once 1.14 comes out, there will be more details that I add in, like lanterns mainly. Gonna find a way that I can integrate those so you see what the house looks like. So with this house over here, originally I had it set up in a certain way where it was really close to that first house. So I decided to change the plans of it around to try and make it fit in a bit better with the area, just so that like it wasn't too weird, I guess. But if you notice, the process of building the house is the same. But if you notice, between this house and the house that we previously made, there is a very large space and no road connecting them, which looks kind of weird, because there's a lot of empty space. So what I ended up doing is actually putting a road in there, and I lowered it down a block, and it just makes it look way better. And also with this house, I decided to create an area that was a bit lower roofed than the main house, as kind of like a foyer type thing, just to create a bit more variance in the house itself, and to make it look a bit better overall, I think. But the detailing process is still the same. Also, in this little area here, I decided to go for a little mound of sandstone, rather than trying to put some like windows in, just because I think it looks better. And for the roofs were probably like the hardest part of this, because I had to try and work out what I could put on each roof in a way that didn't make it look like there were too many of the same thing next to each other, which was a challenge, to say the least. It got pretty weird at times trying to make it work, but I did eventually get it to work out. So here's this road, and originally it was just a road, but it didn't really look right with the road itself. Like, it didn't look right. So now here's a couple of panoramic shots before we go into these next houses. Yeah, the road didn't really look right, being there, so I decided to lower it a block, and I think it just makes it look better, even though that wasn't the terrain originally. So, these houses, I'm trying to keep the style between like these two different styles, one with the strip birch and the other with the smooth or the cut sandstone. I try to keep them somewhat mixed, just so that it doesn't look like there's all one type of house, even though the detailing and all that is the same for all of them. So, that's okay. But yeah, the detailing is the same, so the difference is minimal, but I think it still looks better to keep them separated. I also do more of the sandstone mound stuff things around the back there. You can see a kind of it, and in the front of that house because it just makes it look better, I think. Um, so now we go over to this house. I changed the shape of some of them periodically if I think that it wouldn't look good to keep it how it originally was. Um, 'Cause, I mean, if the shape is too weird looking, then it just doesn't really make sense. Like, why would a house be like that to begin with? So, I changed the shape around to make it fit. Another problem, or another issue that I had, was deciding on the height of the house. Because 5 blocks is a good height, for all of these. It works naturally. But if all of them are 5 blocks tall, it will look kind of weird. So, I tried to change the height around periodically to make it look not as weird. So here we go again with the lighting, or the roof issues, trying to decide what blocks fit, and I end up working with some that managed to work out. So again, here you can see the two different styles coming into play, just to try and keep the variance happening within the village itself, and it just looks way better to do that, instead of just having one kind of house. So another thing that I haven't been doing with the houses that I've built so far, but that really looks good, is doing the fence things with the banners on them. I go back and do it for all of them, but I hadn't done it so far yet. So, looking at them without the banners, they all look kind of separate and not connected. But then adding the banners just really brings the whole look together and makes it look a lot better, I think, especially just when walking around in the village. It looks way better to have the banners on there. It just works. Okay, more of the sandstone mounds going in, just to provide more detail. And the sandstone mounds actually provide more detail in that they're not the exact same thing, like the fence gate with a trapdoor above it, or anything like that. The mound itself provides detail because of the way it is. So here I go back and do the banners, and the banners, it's the same thing as the roofs, because I have to choose colors for it that aren't too similar to the ones around it, with having a limited pool, so it's kind of weird. So originally, with that green thing, that was going to be a market stall, but I decided to change that and completely replace it and make it into a house in itself. And I think I made the right choice there. A market stall would have been out of place, I believe, fitting in with the rest of it, because I have a whole market dedicated for market stalls, which I'm going to be changing in the near future. Going to be going back and revising that whole area, because it looks okay, but it's not that great. So, yes, these houses are also the same. But there is that large open space next to this particular house, so we'll have to think of something to put there, but I don't really know what at the moment. I'll have to think of something later. And that brings up another point too. Just because all the houses are in doesn't mean that we're finished with this place. There's still a lot left to be done, but I think finishing the houses does mark a major turning point in terms of progress on the village itself. This is the longest recorded episode of World Builder ever. This was 2 hours and 40 minutes of recording, which may not sound like a lot, but to me it is. All that went into this, and I think it was worth it to get all the houses in and looking great. And adding the banners in again makes it look even better. It just really connects all of it and brings the whole thing together. And I think that is what makes it look really good. Because without the banners, it just looks wrong. So with this house was kind of interesting. I removed that whole long block thing from the front, because I didn't really like the shape it had. I didn't think decorating it would be easy. But I also decided that I wanted this to be a shop of some kind. And I think it would work really well as a potion shop, because that's what I think would be a good thing to sell. So potion shop can go there. Not because there's other people coming on or whatever to buy potions from here, but just as a bit more ambiance to the village, and how it would probably have some sort of shops on the inside. of the village, not just in market stalls. It also has it's a larger interior, so that makes it easy, or it makes it better to be a shop instead of just a house, I think. And with that, I'm going to leave this here. Subscribe if you enjoyed, leave a comment with any feedback you have for me, and I'll see all of you later. Bye.